Hello, my name is Levi, and this is the Wax Poetic Podcast. Welcome. Today, my guest is Mollie, and we're going to be talking about...
Ooh, we're going to be talking about Crash Test Dummies today. God shuffled his feet.
All right. So where were you in life when you first heard this album?
I think I was still living with my parents. I was in college when this album came out. And I remember hearing it kind of on the radio. The first song I heard was the which is, I think, their most popular song. Not even their best song, you know.
No, it is not. Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, what the hell is this? I'm like, that's the song. That's really caught my attention because it was different. You know, even today you don't hear that different on the radio.
Especially his voice. He's got that like deep baritone voice that is just like, it sticks out.
Yeah, how you don't have a lot of leads with that deep voice anywhere.
I know this is early 90s when this came out, and it does have like a feel of like that early 90s sound, like glam metal had kind of started disappearing and like grunge hadn't really fully taken effect yet. So it was in this like sweet spot where you had like, I guess like Dave Matthews and like Hootie and the Blowfish and stuff like that was like really kind of the big thing at the moment.
Even just a little bit before, you know, Hootie and Dave. You know, I was listening to it again right before this, and it's and I don't think of it this way, but it's a little unpolished compared to what you might hear, you know, newly produced on the radio today. You know? Yeah,
definitely. They make records so much differently nowadays. Like, I feel like this is probably one of those records you put on Sunday or Saturday morning when you're like, okay, I'm getting up, getting ready to do stuff, and you're getting your coffee and just, you know, getting ready for the day kind of album. It's kind of laid back and kind of fun. I didn't really listen to this album. I mean, well, I listened to it a lot for this, but I never heard it beyond the song.
Obsessed with this album. I had it in my car, you know, on the cassette tape, and it just only thing I listened to for months. And I listened to it like day and night. That's kind of what I do when I find something that I really like, is that I'm all in. You know? Yeah. Like, I think I switched it out, you know, occasionally, but probably not very often. I didn't even watch the video that much because I think that was about the time that like spring break shows and Real World started taking over MTV. So it wasn't really music videos anymore. So, you know, you had to start, if you wanted to watch music videos, you had to watch VH1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I listened to this album like constantly, and I've watched the videos, but not like over and over and over again obsessively, like, you know, I was doing 10 years before with the Police, you know, and MTV.
Nice. Didn't really listen to this band. I remember when that song came out, I didn't care for it. The song. I did listen to this now, and I got it. I understood. I see why people liked it. I still don't like the song, but I get why people enjoyed this album. I think I really liked Afternoons and Coffee Spoons mm-hmm. and Swimming in the Ocean.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Swimming in your ocean.
All right. Well, let's get into the songs here. Well, that one is basically like, while you're doing it, what are you thinking of?
What are you thinking? And it's, you know, when I'm sampling from your bosom.
Yes.
Sometimes I wonder if it could be really, you know,
yeah,
like, what are you thinking when you're having sex? You know, you're like, oh, at least he didn't have like a line like, you know, and I paid my Spectrum bill, you know. Like,
getting my really random, like the simple stuff getting done. Yeah.
All right, you know, it's going on a while here. Let's get this party started.
Move this along. Okay.
Move this along. But yeah, that's what I like about Brad Roberts and the writing mm-hmm. is that every single one of these things, his songs are so strange, but every single one of them is you can relate to so well. You know, they're all such real things, you know.
Yeah, he's asking a lot of questions. Some of them are about ducks, but I get that. Like the whole, how does a duck know?
And it's also fun to sing along, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, When you think about like when you're presented with the situation with what should I do? Do you know what to do? Or are you just like, well, I feel like this is the right thing to do? I
Right,
assume
just because it just is, because that's what, like we have our own duckness.
your duck abilities, they just show up.
Mhm.
He's talking about x-rays and doctors a lot on this album. And I've wondered, like, is that like a common fear? I know for me, I don't like the idea of doctors. I feel like if I went to a doctor, he's going to be like, well, you got 3 hours to live. And I'm like, well, I didn't realize I was dying, but okay.
Well, I think it's not so much as like he's talking about a fear of doctors, but so many of the songs are just very, very self-reflective.
Mhm.
On this album, he's kind of like exploring, like there's there's the one about when I go out with artists, about how he's separate. So he goes out with artists, and you hang with the cubists and the dadists, and you try to catch their meaning and keep up with all of the martinis. He's also outside of that society, just like in the song about the doctor. He's outside of himself. He's looking at his X-ray, And so
Okay.
I think he's like exploring a lot of identity and how people see himself and like what reality is. I think this would have been really like a good case for like a philosophy class, his whole album, like the sense of self.
Yeah, I see that. And especially with the album cover, they put all of the band's faces on like other characters in this painting, but they cut off the very important part of that painting, which is a woman who is kind of pining over her lover that just left.
Now that you say it out loud, kind of telling, because this album, it's not a lot of baby, 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 you left me, oh baby, which every other album's, even to this.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot of lovers and relationships. And so it's like that has so much other music makes that the focus of the music. And I think that cutting that out of the picture, maybe, inadvertently or not, just because there were like 5 band members, maybe that is kind of the point, because it's not about the lover. It's about, there's so much like self-exploration in this album. It's just a very philosophical kind of jam.
But also with that When I Go Out Artist song, I feel like that was some kind of like proto Flight of the Conchords side of stuff. I could feel Jermaine Clement just like singing about artists.
Love Flight of the Conchords, and it's very for similar reasons, because they're really more they make a lot of fun of the industry and the music, and I don't think Crash Test Dummies is trying to make fun of the music itself, but they're just having fun with their music.
Yeah.
But they're both very smart, Both of those bands, both these bands are just so smart and so funny, great to listen to.
I know their popular song was the but you said that was not their best song. What do you think was the best song on this album?
Yeah, I can go over different ones, but there's a lot of, I will tell you, I sing absolutely every one of them in the shower still to this day. But there's the song that's The Psychic, which I loved, because he's exploring in that one like his future, his destiny, his death. So all the years that have come to pass, all the years that shall be, I see here right before me. And it's interesting, there's even a line in there, can she see me naked in her mind's eye?
Yeah.
So he like explores that vulnerability, in that song, and it's like he's scared. There's a line, can I escape what she sees? So he's automatically assuming that she's going to see something horrifying, and so there's a lot of fear in there. But it's just, every time I hear that song, I get a little emotional. And when I sing along with it in my super cool man voice,
Okay.
a little choked up.
All right.
But then there's like the very next song on the album is Two Knights and Maidens.
I wasn't sure what to make of that. I read the lyrics, but I didn't quite get it. Maybe fill me in.
Okay, so it's once there were 2 knights and 2 maidens, and they'd walk together out in the gardens, and the knights would always pester the maidens to love them together out in the gardens. I love this song for today, for 2020, because the song is attacking, misogyny, because what it is the maidens in the song are tired of this bullshit.
Yeah, they give them the stuff
from the knights.
Yeah.
So they give them hallucinogenics and there were tigers who smelled them all in the gardens when they're out walking. So they basically lure the knights into the gardens because, oh yeah, we're gonna do it with you, you know. And
sure.
then
Meet me
the
outside.
knights think that the lions and the tigers that they hear are hallucinations, and then by the end of it, the knights are being eaten by the tigers, and then the maidens are just laughing, and it's like they're giving the big finger, you know, to the patriarchy, and I love it. It's so funny, and it's so, I don't know. I think it's a really, really good message.
It's always nice when somebody gets what's coming to them.
Yeah, well, yeah. In 49 days till the election, but whatever.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's been a hard road, but we'll get there. But going back to the psychic, I did have a question because, like, I was wondering, like, have you ever had like your palm read or your tarot read or anything, or do you read tarot cards?
Read tarot cards. I've, you know, had not my palm read, but I've had my tarot cards read. And my dad took me to. I had two dads. One of them who adopted us, and one of them who bio dad. But I visited him when I was like 18 or 19. He took me to a psychic, and and it was like, no, it was just like, oh, this is my friend. You know, she's a psychic. You know, but he like purposely took me to her because he wanted her to. And I remember her telling me that by the time I was 20, I would know what I was going to do. And I'm like, I'm 48 and I'm still waiting.
It's like, let's get on this.
But a couple of years ago, I kind of thought to myself, I met my husband around that time. So maybe, you know, I don't know, looking back, maybe that's all it was. But I don't have a career. I'm unemployed. You know, I got 3 kids and 3 dogs, you know, so
world's falling apart.
She didn't tell me all that. Occasionally, you know, I'm really curious about, I had my friend do my tarot a couple of months ago. It basically just, when you do things like that, you're just looking for confirmation of things. You just want somebody to tell you, yeah, we like you for who you are. The things that you think about yourself, you just want validated.
I got my tarot read once when I was like 18 or 19 or something.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, kind of. I went with a friend of mine. We were in Houston going down Montrose, and it was like a little tarot shop, and we're like, hey, let's go get our palms read. So we went in there, and she got hers read. I got mine read. She basically just told me, looking at my palm, she was like, hey, you can do whatever you want to do, and you'll be good at it. I'm like, all right, well, that's very broad and like affirming, so we'll go with that. Yeah, here's $20. We're good.
Hey, appreciate you. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's just something about that song though that just is like, oh, no, it's just the can I escape what she sees part is the part that gets me, because it's not like she's going to see something good. She could see something good, but he assumes she's not going to. You know?
Yeah. Well, why should she?
And it breaks my heart a little bit. I'm like, oh, I feel so bad for you. Be okay. Oh, I will tell you my absolute favorite song though. It's I Think I'll Disappear Now.
Tequila, first thing in the morning. I'm down with that.
Absolute best song for when you break up with somebody. And I actually I had a really, really bad boss that I worked for like 7 years. Like,
yeah,
everyone hated this person. They eventually got fired, but not before I quit. I imagined for years after I worked with this person, going up to her and saying these exact lines. Running into you like this without a warning is like catching a sniff of tequila in the morning, but I'll try to keep my food down. You know? And it's like that literally that runs through my mind every time I think of this person. That's those lyrics. Quite an aftertaste that you left now that you're not around.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm kind of sad that you're gone, but at the same time, man, this feels good.
Well, in that case, it was like, I'm not sad that person's gone, but it was PTSD big time. You know, that one I think was the most I could relate to on some levels, the absolute most to this song. And fuck her, by the way. If
all right. Well, you know, she's gone now.
She
knows.
Yeah, well, she can just go right now.
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine now. She's unemployed as well, and so it's good. What do you have like on repeat now? What are you listening to lately that's been driving you forward?
Well, I mean, that's the crappy part of the pandemic is that I'm not listening to a whole lot right now. I actually did spend like a long time. You mentioned Flight of the Conchords, which is, well, I don't know why you're spying on me, but that, but you know, I'm more watching things,
Yeah.
you know, but that's one of the things that I've been watching because they are delicious. And, you know, even like their concert, the show, yeah, but even like their, you know,
It's a
the
great
filmed
show.
concerts are so good, you know. And yeah, I just like anything where you actually listen to the lyrics and they're just so smart and so funny. And so that's always just been,
Yeah, they're really good about getting into the moment and just breaking down the ridiculousness of whatever the situation is.
well, my very first like band that I ever liked was the Police.
Maybe you're going to answer my next question. Like, do you remember what the first album you bought was? Was it The Police?
No, I think it was like Tony Basil, Mickey, or something.
Okay, well, let's talk about The Police. All right.
But the first one that I bought, like, whoa, this one, I hear it. It was King of Pain. So was the song that got my attention. I was like, what? It was off the Synchronicity album. You know, there's a king on a throne with his eyes torn out. There's a blind man looking for a shadow of doubt. There's a rich man sleeping on a golden bed. There's a skeleton choking on a crust of bread is one of the refrains in the song. And I was like, who the hell writes that in a song? I'm like, whoa, got my attention, you know? And so that's when, like, Sting is my first and oldest love.
Yes.
You know?
Okay. All right.
Coming up, he's born on October 2nd, 1952. That means he's old now. But I think that set me up to really, really care about lyric, you know, because at the time everyone was liking Duran Duran, and Duran Duran was not this like the mid. I mean, they're fun, but they're not, you know, they're intelligent, that level of intelligence.
Yeah. A lot of popular 80s lyrics are just bad. I mean, they're catchy, but they're not very deep. They're not very meaningful. It's hard to get into.
Sting set me up to really understand that what was important to me most about music is if there's a song that says, oh, baby, baby, baby in it, I'm going to just tear out my hair, you know?
Yeah.
You don't hear that a lot in Sting's and Police songs either, you know, but it gave me just a baseline of this is, you know, it has to be at least this level for me to, you know, I mean, I can enjoy a song. If it's going to be really good, you know, and then like even with Queen, which, you know, like we had that album in the house. I didn't buy the album. I think my older brother did, you know, but the same thing, you know, Freddie Mercury wrote lyrics, you know, all of them, you know, Brian May, they wrote lyrics that were interesting.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But if I can hum along to Bruno Mars, I'm going to do that too.
Before we get to Bruno Mars, can you sing your favorite line from this album for me?
Let me look and see what my favorite line would be. I'm going to go ahead and just go with the classic, with the God shuffled his feet lyrics. I mean, it isn't necessarily my favorite line necessarily, but it does, I think, encompass what the hell are the lyrics? Like why I like the album and what I think that what is different. And I also, this particular song, I am from a mixed religious household and therefore completely non-religious. But I think this helps clear up a lot of my beliefs, or not clear them up.
While you're looking that up, one of the other things, I wasn't going to get into this one, but I've noticed he asks a lot of questions, and it seems to be about like a lot about religion. And it felt like I'm an atheist. I don't know how you are, but I'm pretty much an atheist. And I know there was this one part of my life where I grew up, you know, Catholic, and then I ended up going to the Pentecostal church down the street. And at some at some point when you're starting to like question things, asking these questions out loud, you're not really getting answers and stuff. And that's kind of what I felt like from this album, like especially with the first song is like the last verse of When God Shuffled His Feet. He's like, hey, is this a story or is this a parable? What are you telling me here? And it felt like when somebody's like first starting to ask these questions about religion and stuff.
Well, so I'll sing a couple, just a little bit. So, you know, after 7 days, he was quite tired, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So gathered up some people he had made, created blankets and laid back in the shade. The people sip their wine, and what with God there, they asked him questions like, do you have to eat or get your hair cut in heaven? And if your eye got poked out in this life, would it be waiting up in heaven with your wife? God shuffled his feet, glanced around at them. The people cleared their throats and stared right back at him. And I love that because they're putting that bastard on the spot.
Yeah, they're just like, well,
Like,
we need a little more than this. We need a little more. Yeah.
yeah. So he's not giving them any answers, and they're just like,
Right.
you know. But that whole situation there, that sums up, you know. People need to hear this album. They need to sit there and they need to listen to all of the words of this album 3 times and then call me. And then we will discuss it. And people don't do my bidding often enough.
We'll see if we can make that happen for you. All right. Well, thanks, Molly. This was fun.
Oh, thank you, because I really do love this so much. I tried to get my friend on a road trip one time to listen to it, and she kept changing it to something else on Pandora. I'm like, no, put it back.
Put it back. Yes.
You have to listen. You have to understand why this is so good.
Well, yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to do this in the first place. Is like I've heard music. I want to hear why people like the music that they love, and I mean, even if it's just the whatever those things were, the Chipmunks Christmas album. Let me know why you love it. I need somebody to tell me why. I'm sure somebody does, but
It's probably hit somebody right at the moment in their life. They needed it.
exactly. It just happened at the right place, right time. That's all you need.
Oh, good stuff. Oh, thanks, Levi. This was fun.
All right. Well, thanks, Molly. And there we go.
All right. Ciao.
Please check us out every other week, and also go ahead and follow us on Facebook at Wax Poetic Podcast.